Hey everyone, I'm Julius Solaris, and today I want to talk to you about what the hell is happening with events. No wonder it's been a crazy few months. We all know that. A crazy few years now. I wanted to take some time to talk to you about some of the things that I'm looking at in the event industry. Instead of sharing this on my social networks, as I usually do, informal writing, I wanted to take a short video. I feel we kind of need a catch up. It's been a while, we haven't talked to each other. You may think, Julius, why are you doing that? What's the secret agenda? What are you trying to promote? What are you trying to sell? Well, nothing. That's the beauty of it. I just want to share with you in total freedom. What is happening with events? It's a crazy, crazy time. Whatever started in March 2020, we thought it would have ended in a couple of weeks and then a couple of months, and now we're 18 months in and it keeps on going and going. And I guess it's time to sit down a little bit and think about what is the future looking like? What is the present looking like? Because honestly, it's pretty confusing. I must say that come sort of April 2021, I wish that we were nearing the end of it, that vaccines were out there, cases were going steadily down, events were making a huge comeback, and then all of a sudden the Delta variant happened and we're back to probably not square one, but it feels like to a lot of us in the events industry that we're relieving a lot of those feelings of March 2020. So yeah, a lot to ponder. I think as an industry, we made a major mistake in fall 2021 when vaccines were rolled out. And it's not like this is not blaming by any means. There's no script for tackling such a tough and uncertain period. We all know that. But I think we disregarded the advice that was given all along since the start of the pandemic that we gotta learn to live with this virus and with its mutations as well to a certain extent. I don't think we totally embrace that. I think at a certain time, as soon as we saw some positive trends, we went back to essentially pre-pandemic levels and we invested everything we could in programs, even like down the line in Q4 2021, that was a little bit rushed. I believe that learning to live with this virus for the foreseeable future, which could be a year, could be 2 years, could be less, hopefully. It's what we need to be focusing on in the next few months. Those events that kept a flexible strategy have been able to thrive, meaning that there's a plan to go in person because this is our industry. This is what we're all about. We're not the virtual events industry. We are the events industry. That means in person to a lot of people. So we should not forget that. Virtual is great. It's been a lifesaver for a lot of us. And it can complement. It's a new category, but it's not what our industry is about. What does that mean? What should we do when it gets to strategy? And how can we make sense of all this confusion? We should be really focusing on being flexible as much as possible. That means being flexible with our contracts and negotiations, with our venues, with our suppliers, and making sure that there's a plan B, a plan C, that postponement and cancellations don't feel like the end of the world, right? We're not investing everything in one format, that when a cancellation is on the horizon, we feel that we're kind of losing everything that we've done, which means in most cases having also a flexible strategy where you can cancel your in-person but have virtual, not necessarily to replace the in-person. This idea that in-person can be replaced by virtual, it's not totally true. I don't think that those that are advocating for that type of strategy fully understand the commitment, the monetary and resources commitment that in-person events have. If you invest everything in in-person and then you want to fall back to virtual, that's not going to work financially. That's going to have a lot of strains. My strategy that I would adopt right now would be to have both in-person and virtual. And if in-person fails, what happens then is that we have virtual as a follow-up to that with its own design, with its own budget, with a different type of approach. I'm still to be convinced about hybrid events that become fully virtual. Let's talk about your in-person strategy. The safest bet is to stay close to big cities where you don't have to count on travel. Stay national instead of international. Don't count on international audiences because travel is a mess. It makes a lot of sense to think smaller, roadshow, hub and spoke type of model where hubs are connected via technology. This is one of the most important uses of tech that we can make right now, where in-person events are connected with each other in a community style type of feel that would really make up for the loss of that international component that we miss at events. There's a trend right now in some sectors of asking for vaccines at the door, which is controversial enough. It's not an easy one to crack, but some shows are just taking a stance. So, okay, interesting approach. Is it 100% safe? No. Is it safer than asking for nothing? Yes, absolutely. Also, interesting the approach that we're seeing here in Vegas, where the governor announced that planners have two options, either asking for vaccines and no masks, or don't ask for vaccines but masked indoors with small limitations. I feel that governments are starting to understand the challenges of events and event planning, which is great. Cancellations are coming in again. That doesn't mean we need to despair. It means we need to be strong and clever with the choices that we do. The kind of strategy that we adopt has to be as flexible as possible. The challenge there is with resources. In the hospitality industry, it's very tough to find people that want to work. Well, what does the comeback look like? So we know that this comeback cannot be 100% comeback. As much as we want to try to make it, pre-pandemic is not going to be like that. During the pandemic, we had this big conversation on how this was a moment for a lot of us that got out of work to stop and reflect about the future of events and how this was a great opportunity for change. Honestly, I haven't seen any of that. Most of the events I keep an eye on, they're going back to exactly what the pre-pandemic levels were like. Pre-pandemic practices were like essentially the same things. Let's be honest, I think we should start having this conversation now. I don't think that the event industry pre-pandemic was this amazing thing where everything was working fantastically well, which doesn't mean that in-person wasn't one of the strongest marketing channels you have out there, but far from being perfect. And there were a lot of issues that many people talked about before the pandemic, but it seems now it's become a taboo because the industry is struggling. I think we have to have that conversation right now to make sure that the future is bright and actually we can go back to an industry as soon as possible. I think we need to take this further challenge that we're getting as an industry right now to really think about the future, seriously evaluating what the future looks like for the event industry. And to me, there's two issues that we have to deal with. One is sustainability. Even the strategy of doing outdoor events, we've seen how crazy difficult it's become with incredible weather events that are happening all around us, most safe for climate change. When we count on outdoor strategy for our events, we need to be concerned of the fact that it's not as easy as it used to be. The industry has to do its part for sustainability, no question about it. I invite you to check Meet Green as one of the best initiatives on this. Engagement is a huge problem. It's the second problem we will have to deal with. Going into in-person event, they sat me down in a room for an hour, dark, listening to someone speaking. That's not going to make it for me anymore. We have a huge meeting design issue right now. We are collectively exhausted by the past 18 months. Even a holiday feels like a challenge for a lot of us. We cannot apply the same rules pre-pandemic to what's coming next. We really need a creative effort to be better at what we do. Finally, mental health. We're part of those few industries that have been completely wiped out by the mental toll of this pandemic. A lot of businesses have been shut down, destroyed. Businesses that have been running for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, wiped out in a matter of a few months. People that had to start working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. People that had to keep on working as well. Let's not think that these people were just all lucky ones to keep on going during whatever was happening all around us. It's been incredibly difficult for a lot of people. This conversation about mental health in the event industry needs to happen. Initiatives such Event Well needs to be supported. We need to have these open conversations, which is not about doing yoga meditation, of course, that too, but also having tough conversations about how we felt and giving a space to planners to tell their stories and everybody listening in and share their stories too. I hope more industry events could do a little bit of that instead of giving us the catering trends for 2022, which honestly, what can I say? Change is needed, and I can't wait for that change to happen. Right now, we need to get moving, we need to get going. Now is not the time to panic and despair. It's the time to get down and do the job, do the work that we know you know how to do, connect people, whether it's going to be virtual, in person, whatever, hybrid. We don't care. We connect people. We are needed right now as an industry. Hopefully, I'll see you in person as well very soon. I can't wait to do that. Thank you.